Okay, boys and girls, we are going to make a start. So I'm going to say good morning to you just now. I'm going to say good morning, boys and girls. Good morning, everybody. It's lovely to see you. I'm really pleased to see you all on this lovely Monday morning. And you can see that I've got Dara sitting next to me just now, who is who's done so well, because on Friday afternoon we had a horrible time of it, and this is an assembly that I've really been looking forward to, but Dara's really been thinking about it a lot. And then on Friday afternoon at the last minute he had to change plans, and then he had to think about the fact that over the weekend we were going to be doing this today, which was really tricky. But you know what he did? He did what Dara always does, and he kind of says, I'm going to have a positive mindset round about this one, and we're going to persevere and we'll get there in the end. So I'm just delighted that we're here this morning, that we've managed to get up and running, and that I've got Dara sitting next to me. I just have to keep reminding him to come over to the middle of the chair because he's trying to edge out of this camera, but we all want to see you, don't we? Good. Right. So why are we here? We're here. Dara's going to he's agreed to help me out today, and I'm really grateful for that. And we've had a couple of assemblies like this over the years, and you'll maybe remember Lauren helped me talk about diabetes one day, and you'll maybe remember when Cyprian came and spoke to us about hearing and about his hearing loss and what that means, what it looks like, what it sounds like for him. It's because, boys and girls, we like to look at different medical conditions and we like to learn more about them. Why? Why should we do that? You know, today Dara's kindly helping me out with learning about autism and helping you understand a wee bit more about autism. And before we kind of get stuck into that, why? Why should we do that? Well, I think it's really important that we learn about lots of different medical conditions because it helps us think about what the world is like for other people. I'll say that again. It helps us think about what the world is like for other people. That's really important. But boys and girls, the reason that I've got an umbrella up is because sometimes when we talk about autism or autistic spectrum condition, you might hear it called ASC. It's represented, the autistic spectrum is represented by an umbrella. And I think it's really important, and I think it's quite a powerful thing to think about, because the autistic spectrum, or people who are autistic, there are lots and lots of different things that it looks like. There are lots and lots of different ways that it affects somebody. Now, what I did, boys and girls, was I was thinking about all the boys and girls that I've worked with over the years who have been autistic. And I was thinking about the different ways in which autism affects them. Because autism is a medical condition that means that your brain works just slightly differently. But everybody who is autistic, their brain works in a slightly different way. So their autism is different. Nobody's autism is the same. And if you think about this umbrella, there would be billions and billions and billions of little pinpoints that you could place on this umbrella, and that's like everybody who is autistic. Nobody's is the same. Nobody's sitting at the same place. And I was thinking about some boys and girls that I've worked with, and some people who are on the autistic spectrum, they find it really difficult to make friends, or to socialise with other people, or to talk to other people. That's the bit of their brain that their autism affects. Some people who are on the autistic spectrum, I know I can think of some boys and girls where their autism means that they can be really obsessed about something. They want to focus all of their time and attention on something very specific that's important to them. Sometimes I've worked with boys and girls that their autism is such that it really makes it difficult for them to, if something changes, they find that really hard. If they think that something's going to happen and then it changes, then this little bit of their brain makes it really difficult for them to manage that. I'm going to turn it round a little bit. sometimes autism can make people find it really, really hard, the way their brain is, to see things from somebody else's point of view, to be able to say, well, I wonder what they think about that. That can be the part of the brain that autism affects too. I've worked with some boys and girls who their autism means that they really, really, really need routine. They need to know what's happening at each part of the day, and they need that routine. I've worked with some people who their autism has meant that they struggle sometimes to manage their emotions, and they find themselves that they find it hard. They can find themselves upset about things at times, and that can be on account of a particular bit of their brain that's very much to do with their autism. I've worked with some boys and girls who their autism for their particular part of the autistic spectrum means that they're really hard on themselves, and they think things like, well, I'm really bad at this, or I'm just rubbish, or I'm a really bad person, and that's something that can affect the way their brain works too. I've worked with some boys and girls with autism who really, really need things to be fair. They hate it when things are unfair. I've worked with some boys and girls with autism where a particular part of the spectrum means that they're incredibly talented at something, that they've got a real passion and talent, and given the right opportunities and the right support, they can do that talent and be absolutely incredible with it. I've even worked with some boys and girls with autism where autism has actually affected physical things in their body, and even things like breathing. Some people with autism, they find that their brain doesn't like loud noises or particular sounds. Some people, they don't like tastes and smells. Some people on the autistic spectrum, their autism is such that they don't like being in big crowds or places. My goodness, boys and girls, look at all of these things round about this spectrum. That means it's very, very difficult for us to say this is what autism is. Because the bottom line is this, that it's different for absolutely everybody. Nobody's autism is the same. Now that's kind of different. That's kind of different from when Lauren helped us with diabetes. There would be a common theme there for people with type 1 diabetes round about blood sugar, and we learned a lot about that at that time. But what it means, boys and girls, is that when we learn about autism, it's very, very difficult for us to say this is what it is, because it can mean so many different things. I've got a little 3-minute video I'd like to share with you just now about autism, and it helps us in some really good, just some language which makes it very, very simple for us to understand. Do you know what? I'm going to share that video. I'm going to share that video with you in a minute. I'm going to tell you one other thing first. We have got lots of boys and girls in our school who are autistic. And Dara's really come to help me out with this today, which is just great. But we've got lots of boys and girls. And I spoke to one of the mums in our school, and I said, would you mind if I talked just for a wee minute about your boy at assembly? And she said, of course, no problem at all. Because one of the boys that we have in school who has autism, his name is Connor, and he is in primary 2. Hands up if you know who I mean when I say Connor in primary 2. Yeah, of course you do. We all know Connor, hands down. Now, Connor is autistic, and one of the things that with how Connor's brain works is that it really affects.
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see. Height, hairstyle, gender, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen. Our favorite foods, fear, or special skill. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate. Sometimes the brain is connected in such a way it affects the senses and how we perceive and read situations and interactions. This is known as autism. Many people have autism, so it's likely you already know someone who is autistic. And for this reason, it's useful to know a little bit about autism. The special wiring inside an autistic brain can sometimes make the person good at tasks we may find difficult, such as mathematics, drawing, or music. It can also do the opposite, and activities we find too easy are incredibly difficult to them, such as making friends. The senses constantly send information to your brain about your surroundings and other people. However, when a person's brain and its senses don't communicate well, the brain can become overwhelmed and confused, affecting how they see the world. Picture yourself walking down the street. This is how an autistic brain may experience the same world. It's scary, isn't it? Sadly, in many cases, the person can't say out loud how they feel. So even though there's chaos going on in their heads, they seem okay on the outside, unable to ask for help. We will develop behaviors to help us feel calm in uncomfortable situations. We may look away, hug ourselves, chew our fingernails, fidget, bite our lips, and so on. Equally, autistic people develop behaviors that help them cope with these intense moments. These actions may seem unusual, but they're just their way to feel calm. When they happen, it means they are having a hard time. The kind thing to do is not to give them an even harder time by getting cross, ignoring them, or
head that are quite chaotic, but on the outside it looks okay. And I said to Dara, do you ever feel like that? And what do you think, Dara? Big clear voice. Do you ever have that feeling like there's things going on in your head but other people can't see it?
Yeah.
Like what?
Sometimes I worry about things that aren't worth worrying about, but I don't want to tell other people because they might think I'm a scaredy cat and I don't like being called names.
What an incredibly honest thing to say. So Dara says that sometimes he finds himself worrying about things that aren't worth worrying about. My goodness me, that is an incredibly adult thing to say, because actually, I mean, I'm a grown-up and I do that all the time, and maybe you do too. Sometimes you worry about things and then a few hours later you think, I shouldn't have really been worrying about that. For Dara to be picking that up and saying that he worries about things that aren't worth worrying about, I think that's incredible. But do you know what else he said there, which was interesting? He said, but I don't want to tell other people about it because I'm worried they think I'm a scaredy cat or something like that. That's really interesting. If you've got any examples, don't worry if you don't. Can you think about anything recently that you've been worrying about and then you've thought, I shouldn't have worried about that actually?
Well, I was worrying about my pet cat because he was getting old and I was worried that he might get a bit sick often, and I'm worried that he might not be happy in heaven because I thought that was a bit of a sad place, but it's actually a happy place.
Good for you. What a really, really honest thing to say. So Dara was worrying about his cat, and then afterwards you've come round about it and you think, actually maybe that's something that I don't need to worry quite so much about. But I'm sure at the time it was all going on in your mind and you were really worried about it. That's really, really powerful. That's great. Going to play a little game with Dara just now, and it's this game's called Hit the Buzzer, and not hit the buzzer like you know it. I've got a little buzzer here which I'm going to ask Dara to hit when he spots something that he thinks is the same as his autism, because I've worked with quite a lot of boys and girls over the years with autism, and each time I've worked with them, I've asked them to put something together that says what their autism is like. And I've got a little boy here, I'm going to change his name. When I was a deputy head teacher in a school, I worked really closely with this boy. I'm going to call him David. And he wrote this, and we did an assembly like this. And I'm going to read some of it out, and if you, now some of it won't be like Dara, because everybody's autism is different. But if you see something that's just like yours, Dara, then I'd like you to do this.
That's a cool sound.
Is that okay? I was worried it might be a little bit loud. It goes for as long as you hold your finger on it. Can you practice it? See if you can make it work. Perfect. Can you, thumbs up, can you hear the buzzer at home? Okay, good. We're in class. Here we go. So, if something, Dara, if something makes you go ding, 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 that's just like me actually. Hit the buzzer.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So, my name's David. Sometimes my autism makes me take things too seriously. Oh, like what? What might you take too seriously?
Sometimes I take batteries on my phone a bit too seriously because I'm worried they might run out, and if somebody texts me, I'm worried that they might get a bit impatient when I take too long to reply.
Brilliant! You're kind of recognising that's something I don't need to take quite so seriously, just like David here. David says, my autism means that I really struggle with loud noises and it hurts my ears. He says, I don't like to meet new people. Or people that I don't know well, and he says, I find it hard to look people in the eye. I don't like being in loud crowds, and sometimes I take things to heart too much. Oh, that was one for Dara. Tell us about that, Dara. What do you think? So you sometimes take things to heart?
Yeah, sometimes I am not comfortable with crowds and loud noises, and I can get a bit shy when I meet new people.
That's interesting, isn't it? And I guess that's just like that one, because I know that you're not really a shy person, but if you're meeting new people, then that's something that you find okay. I have some phobias, like I'm a little bit scared of certain food, and I can't help it. I'm also really scared of germs. I like my personal space, and I don't like it if you get too close to me. Sometimes I worry about what other people are thinking about me. Yeah, go on, what do you think?
So when I'm a bit worried, I don't want people, sometimes I don't want people to see me scared, because they might think that I'm a silly person, and I don't like to look silly.
Yeah, that's good. That's just like David. He's thinking about what other people are going to think about him. I don't like it when things change quickly. Change scares me. And David says, sometimes I lose control easily and I get really upset, and it can be really scary. That's something that David's autism effect has. Things have to be fair. I can't handle it when they're not fair. And I don't really understand it sometimes when people get upset and start to cry. Why do people cry? That's what David says. Sometimes I trip up and I can be a little bit clumsy. Oh. Go on.
So once when I was having my sleeping medicine, I was eating some tablets, but I kept dropping them.
Okay, so you can relate to that bit about finding things a bit tricky.
Because I can find getting sleep tricky.
Yeah. Well, actually, David says here that he sometimes takes some medication to help him sleep too. So that's interesting. He says, I fidget a lot and I love to fidget with things. Oh, is that you?
Yeah.
What do you like to fidget with?
I like to fidget with some of those fidget balls. So
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, so I don't have to scratch because I'm a bit itchy and I have a bit of a rash, but it's getting better.
Good. David says, sometimes I need people to repeat things to me because I don't get it first time, like teachers or mum. I need them to say things more than once. I say what I think. Even if I know that people won't like it, I always just say what I think. Sometimes that makes people angry, but I am just telling the truth. That's what David says. Go on, were you going to hit that?
Well, no, I thought you were going to say I hate bullies.
Oh yeah, did you read that bit?
Yeah.
It was in a different font and I almost missed it out. He says, I hate bullies in great big writing. Go on then. Why is that you?
It's because when people bully me, I'm worried I might have a lot of bruises and I don't like to get hurt.
Good, good. David says, this is the last bit, he says, I am kind and I like helping other people. He says, I like to feel safe and secure, and that's when I'm happy, so my favourite place is my home. And he says, living with autism is hard, but you can't see it. You can't see it, but people around me know how it affects me. That's really interesting, Dara. So you can see how some of David's autism Dara can relate to and says, yeah, that's a wee bit like me, but some of it is like another bit of that umbrella that bit doesn't affect Dara's brain, because everybody's autism is completely different. I had another one here from a boy Jamie that I used to work with in a different school. But you know what? I'm mindful of the time, and it's almost 11:45, and we've still got a wee bit to do. And I want to talk to Dara a little bit more about his autism. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you to watch one more wee video, and then Dara's going to tell you specifically about his autism. Okay. So we've learned that everybody's autism is different. We learned about David's there. We're learning about Dara's, and this is a girl called Rosie. So I'd only like you to watch this until 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I'll say that again. 3 minutes 50 seconds. I'm going to go on mute just now. Dara and I are going to watch it as well.
Mr. Gardner, you just went on to mute there, so we only got up to only watch this until...
Oh. There we go. Thank you for that. I don't know how that happened. We never touched it, did we? Right, 3 minutes 50 seconds, everybody. I'm going to go on mute now and allow you to watch this one, and then we're going to talk to Dara. Okay, to stop it there and come back to us. So, tell you, I'm going to speak to Dara just now, and he's going to tell us specifically about what his autism is for him. But do you know my favourite thing about Rosie's story? Rosie said that it's for her, it's something worth celebrating. It's part of her. She wouldn't give it up for anything. What a brilliant and important attitude. I am certain that without Dara's autism, he wouldn't be the Dara that he is. He wouldn't be the Dara that we all know.
Mute again, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you. Yeah, without Dara's autism, he wouldn't be the person that he is. And I thought that was a really important message from Rosie there. I thought that was lovely. So, Dara has got a few things that he's going to tell you specifically about how his mind works, about how his autism affects his brain. So in a big clear voice, Dara, whenever you're ready, you fire away.
Ready, is the camera on?
Camera, yep. So if you stay seated though, because we can see you. Yeah, perfect. Go for it.
Right, here's the autism in me paragraph. Autism is when a person's brain works a bit differently. It's different for everyone though. I'm just like everyone else. I find some things tricky and some things easy. Being autistic just meant me and my family could ask people for ideas on the tricky things.
Perfect, go on and do that next bit as well.
I want to let people know a little bit more about why I find things tricky. My classmates and teachers are very kind, and I want to say thank you for them for being kind and patient with me.
That's a lovely thing to say. Mrs. Keith, can I just check that you're hearing that okay?
Yes, we are.
That's perfect. Quick question for you, Dara. You're saying here that you want to tell everybody a little bit about it so that they know and they understand. Why is that? Why do you think it's good for people and for your teachers to understand a little bit about your autism?
I think it's important for them so they know why I'm finding these things tricky and why I get stressed when people talk to me a bit too much.
Dara, you couldn't have said anything more perfect at that moment. That was absolutely perfect. So the reason that Dara's saying that he wants you to know is because he wants you to understand why sometimes he might find things a little bit stressful. Like, if you were to write a script, you couldn't have come up with something better to say at that moment. That's perfect. Right, can we hear the next bit?
So here's the advice paragraph. If you're autistic, my advice is to let someone know when you are finding things tricky and try to ask for help. Just try your best. If you meet someone who is autistic, my advice is to be kind and respect them. Try to include them if they would like to join in, but also respect them if they would rather not join in. So if you have autism like me, or you have a friend that has autism like me, remember my advice.
I love that advice. Dara's top tip for us there is to remember to be kind. Can you think of a time that someone's been kind to you?
I like how when I was finding my maths tricky, my grandfather used to be a maths teacher and he decided to help me with my maths.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's wonderful. Right, what's the next bit called?
This is the About Me paragraph.
Go for it.
I like to share my knowledge about transport, cities and animals. I have a very good memory. I can remember rules. I'm very bendy and flexible. I'm also quiet. Some people think I'm shy, but I'm just waiting my turn. I am brave. I've skied down a mountain and I've done the sleep out in Union Square car park for charity.
That's brilliant. And you know the bit that we all know, Dara, especially at the school, and the bit that really stuck out for me there is when you said, I am brave. And I thought, yes you are, I've watched you skiing down that mountain, I've watched you do your sleeping out, and that's a really, really important part of you actually, which is lovely to hear. What's your next bit called?
What I enjoy at school. I enjoy maths, especially budget jobs. I enjoy reading. It helps if I'm finding things tricky. I enjoy languages. And I find it easy to remember when listening to videos or films in a different language. I like science. Doing experiments is fun, and I like the colour changing ones the best. I like PE. I like running and playing games. I like cooking. I need to practice chopping. But I make really good chocolate fudge cake. I like playing the piano, but I haven't been able to have lessons in a long time because of lockdown. My target at the academy is to go to all my classes and try new things. But let's just say that I'll try my best.
Brilliant. And I always hear you talking about targets, Dara. You're always focused on a target to try and improve something. Do you know, I was reading something that you wrote in primary 6, and you wrote that one of your targets was to ask when somebody's laughing about something, because you weren't sometimes you're not sure about what somebody's Go and tell us about that bit. What does that bit mean?
That means that I enjoy doing that subject because it helps me to understand more when I get to the academy, because I don't want to grow up saying, oh, what was that again? And I don't want to grow up being forgetful. I want to grow up like a nice and kind person, which I already am.
Lovely, lovely, that's brilliant. And what's your next bit called?
What can be tricky?
Go on, what can be tricky?
I find crowds and loud noises tricky, and busy places. I find too many instructions at a time tricky. I prefer getting 1 or 2 instructions at a time, or a list to help. I can find writing tricky. I try my best, but lots of writing can hurt my hands. I'm very good at typing. Once I know what I am meant to do, I will always give it a try.
That's brilliant. Do you know, well, a couple of assemblies ago I was speaking about that football coach that came in and started changing all the things that didn't need changing. And I guess what Dara's speaking about there is he's got a real self-awareness. He's thought about the things that he's good at and where